Egypt got $540 million for the Ever Given. 3 years later, they begged the IMF for $8 billion. Same canal, same country. The grounding got the headlines. The money story got buried. The Suez Canal isn't just a shortcut. For Egypt, it's a balance sheet. Suez Canal revenue is one of the country's top 3 sources of foreign currency, sitting alongside remittances and tourism. When the canal earns dollars, Egypt pays its debts. When the canal bleeds dollars, Egypt's currency collapses. In 2021, an empty container ship called the Ever Given lodged sideways in this waterway and stopped 12% of global trade for 6 days. The world watched the boat. The money story started after the boat sailed. Start with the numbers everyone covered. On March 23, 2021, the Ever Given grounded at 7:40 in the morning. 400 meters long, 224,000 tons, 20,000 containers stacked on deck, sandstorm winds at 40 knots. 2 Suez Canal pilots on board at the moment of grounding. The ship was freed 6 days later. While she was stuck, 369 ships queued. Lloyd's List estimated $9.6 billion of trade halted every single day. The Suez Canal Authority itself lost roughly $15 million per day in transit fees. Egypt filed an initial claim for $916 million. The owners called it extraordinarily large. Egypt impounded the ship. Negotiations dragged for 100 days. The final settlement, July 2021, $540 million plus a 75-ton tugboat. The ship sailed 12 days later. $540 million sounds like a lot. It is not. Hold that number, because 3 years later, the same canal would lose more than that in a single month. The Ever Given got every camera in the world. But what actually broke Egypt's economy wasn't the boat sitting sideways. It was what came after she sailed. That's where the money trail starts. Rewind 7 years, 2014. President Sisi announces a new Suez Canal, a 35-kilometer parallel channel running alongside the original waterway. Cost, $8.2 billion, 60 billion Egyptian pounds. The funding model was extraordinary. Instead of borrowing internationally or selling bonds, the Egyptian government issued tax-free investment certificates paying 12% interest, sold only to Egyptian citizens and Egyptian institutions. They sold out in 8 days. Citizens of Egypt personally funded the expansion of the canal that their state would then operate. The government promised the new channel would more than double canal revenue, from $5 billion annually to $13.5 billion by 2023. Shipping analysts at BIMCO and the World Bank said the math required 9 to 10% annual growth in global trade. Unrealistic. An independent Egyptian engineer estimated the actual incremental revenue from the expansion at $200 to $300 million per year, not the $8.5 billion the government had projected. The project was built in 1 year instead of 3. Then in 2023, Suez Canal revenue did hit a record. $10.25 billion, almost double the pre-expansion baseline. The expansion looked vindicated. Egyptians who lent their savings at 12% looked smart. The math seemed to work. For exactly 12 months, November 2023, Houthi militants in Yemen begin attacking commercial ships in the Red Sea, the southern approach to the Suez Canal. Within 6 weeks, every major shipping line, Maersk, Hapag-Lloyd, CMA CGM, Evergreen, reroutes around Africa instead of through Suez. The Cape of Good Hope adds 10 to 14 days to the voyage and burns more fuel. They do it anyway. The data is brutal. Daily Suez transits drop from 72 ships per day in mid-December to 27 by year-end. By April 2025, the Suez Canal Authority confirms 2024. Revenue collapsed to $3.99 billion, from $10.25 billion the year before, a 61% crash. The International Monetary Fund estimates Egypt lost $6 billion in canal receipts in 2024 alone. The World Bank estimates the total Suez-related hit at $7 billion, roughly 5% of Egyptian GDP. President Sisi himself, March 2025, puts it bluntly, Egypt is losing $800 million per month. $800 million per month. The Ever Given settlement of $540 million looked like a major windfall in 2021. By 2024, Egypt was losing more than that every 20 days. The country that had bet its currency reserves on canal traffic was watching the canal traffic disappear. March 2022, Egyptian pound 15.7 per dollar. 10 months later, 24.7. March 6, 2024, just months after the Houthi attacks began, the pound is forcibly floated. It plunges from 31 to 50 per dollar in a single day. The central bank raises rates 600 basis points, the largest single hike in Egyptian history. Days before, the United Arab Emirates announces $35 billion for a coastal development called Ras El Hekma, the bailout that kept Egypt out of default. 2 weeks later, the IMF expands its existing $3 billion program to $8 billion. Egypt becomes the IMF's third largest borrower in the world after Argentina and Ukraine. The $540 million settlement from a stuck boat in 2021, $8 billion bailout. The trade deficit is the backhaul discount. The Suez choke point is Egypt's balance sheet. Next on choke point. Panama, same idea, a man-made shortcut between two oceans handling a major share of global trade. Same trap, one event away from a national balance sheet crisis. Except in Panama's case, the threat isn't a stuck ship or a missile from Yemen. It's that the canal is literally running out of water. Subscribe. Every week, one bottleneck that moves the world, and one country it can bankrupt.